In this video, I'm going to show you how to check the data type for each variable and how to change the data type for a particular variable in your data set. So firstly, let's import our data. I prefer to use the import button in our repository, and all of your local data and process are stored under this local repository. I have two folders, data and the process folder, to store my data set and the process. If you don't have the folder, you can easily right-click the local repository and the false option called the create subfolder. You can give a name that you like. Let's call it test. Okay. And then you will see the folder, which is empty, shown under local repository. And you can import your data to this particular folder. Let's go to the import data. Let's click the button, and I would like to import from my computer. I have a file. I have it stored in my data set. I call the insurance missing. So you find your data set and click it, and then click the next button. You'll be able to see a preview of your data set, and shown as columns and rows. You just make sure your headers and your values are displayed properly. And usually it reads from the file directly for you, and you don't need to adjust any structure or any setting here. And then we go next. And that is the place, so that is the first place that you can change the type for your variables before you actually import the data. So in this page, you can see the title is format your columns, and you can see the information of your column, including the name of your column and the data type. RapidMiner provides you a, let me show you this one. So RapidMiner provides you a list of data types, and here is a link that you can see all the data types that provided by RapidMiner. Usually when we talk about data, before we build the model, we said we basically set them into numeric data, categorical data, and unstructured data. So RapidMiner provides more detailed format, or you can intuitively, you can think it as a technical format or data type. That is why they have different names. And like for numeric data, they have integer, they have numeric type, and they have real type. Integer and the real are the two most popular ones for the numbers, which is just the integer without decimal, or for fractional numbers. And for categorical data, we usually see the type ends with nominal. So binomial, nominal, and the polynomial, those are three things we usually use for categorical data. And then they also provide others like a date and the time and the text data. So that is the thing you can see from RapidMiner. So right over here, and you will be able to see the data tab under the name of your column, and you can easily change it by using on the top right corner. It's a small setting button, and you can change the type by selecting a different one and saying I can change my age from integer to polynomial. We can change it back to integer. So that's the thing you can do. So before you import your data. And let's just keep it as a default, and the RapidMiner read the data type for you directly based on the content you have from the column. So let's just keep it and go to next and select the place or folder to store your data. I'm gonna put it in the test folder and give a name to your data set. I will call it my date. Okay, so my date, and finish it. All right, and automatically in the display the whole data set for you, and with all the columns and the rows, and on the top you will see how many observations here in RapidMiner. It called it examples. So how many rows you have in your data set. And in this page, that is under the results view. And on the left-hand side, you have a sidebar. The second button called the statistics, that is a place you can check all the tabs for your variables. And here, basically, you can see the same thing as what I showed you when we load the data. Ages, integers, sex, polynomial, and all other data types. And now let's go back to our design view and to see the process. So here's a place you're gonna use your data and to build your model. And when we use our data, we can just simply drag and drop. We go to repository, find our data set, here my date, and you drag it to the process. That's it, so it becomes a data node. And if you want some operator, you find the operator here and drag it to the process. So each node in RapidMiner will have input and output. And the input is optional. Some nodes doesn't have input. Like here as a data node, it doesn't have an input, so you don't see anything on the left. But you will see one output on the right-hand side. And the one good thing is that when you move your mouse to your own node, it's gonna give you a preview, and it will show you how the data set looks like, and it will tell you that see here it's a preview and how many attributes you have, the data type you have for each attribute, and the number of observations you have. And now, let's say we don't want to do any model, we just want to display the whole data set. Then you simply connect this out node with our final result node. So result node is on the right edge of the process panel. So that becomes our first result. And after you click it, it can automatically create an empty second result node. If you have some other nodes with other output, you can connect it to the next result node. So now we finished our first process and just to display the data. And now if you think it looks good, we can run this process. Whenever you run the process in RapidMiner, it's gonna start from very beginning and to the end. It will not stop in the middle unless it see any error. So to run it, and we just need to click the run button on the top, and it has how to start the execution of the current process, and we can do that. So we click it, and it's gonna bring us to the result view and show the result, which is displaying the data set. So let's go back. And when after you check the result, you may feel it's okay or it's not okay, and you can always come back to the design panel and to make adjustment. If you don't want to link this, then you can simply move your mouse to the link, and you will see a delete button, so you can delete this link. If you don't like the node, you can click the node and click the delete button, or you can right click and click the delete option to delete this node. All right, so that is a very simple process. And then let's talk about how to change the tab for the attribute in our data set. And seeing the result, and you see the tab for each attribute. And now say I'm not satisfied, I would like to change a particular tab. I would like to change a variable to a categorical tab. That happens sometime. I mean, because categorical is it's a term we used when we analyze the data, and the categorical doesn't mean that the value must be a string or must be a text data. It probably it's a number, and like male, female, for example, and people may use the word male and female, or probably they just use the number 0 and 1. But 0 and 1 doesn't mean that it is actual number. It is categorical data, because 0 and 1 represents the different gender, male and female. So that is why sometimes when RapidMiner reads it, it just reads those values as numbers directly. But when we analyze the data, we cannot use it as a number, because some models, especially in RapidMiner, some operators, they only take non-numeric variable as input or the output. And if you keep it like the default tab, we cannot run the model later. So that is why we would like to modify the tab, data tab for attributes. So there are two ways that you can do even after you input your data. So the first way is just edit the whole data set. You can see right over here, we have our data set. You find your data set and right click it, the second option called edit. So after you click it, actually you have a window, a new panel called data editor in the bottom. You can drag it and make it larger. And then see here, that's our whole data set. Again, it shows you the name and the data tab and the row of this variable. So we're gonna discuss the row later. And that is a place you can check and say I'm not satisfied. For example, children. I don't want it to be integer. I want it to be a categorical variable, a polynomial or a nominal variable. So the thing you can do is that you can go to that column and right click the column and click modify attribute. So that is the place you can modify the name of attributes, the type of attributes, and the row of the attribute. And the name is okay, and the tab, it has a drop down selection, a list of tabs that you can select. We can do nominal or polynomial, it doesn't really matter. So I will suggest that we just do nominal because nominal is more common and is broad, more general than polynomial. So no matter what data you have, and the nominal is able to take it. So let's just select nominal and apply it. So after I apply it, you can see my children data tab got changed to nominal. And now, before you close this data editor, make sure to save your data set. Okay, so here the third, we have the save button. You just save it. And now you can click the data editor. So we can check whether the change got made or no. So let's do the same thing. Let's display our data set, put it to process and connect to result. I run it, see my data set. I go to statistics and see children. And now you can see it becomes nominal. So that's a good thing. So that means our change got made successfully.